Adjust your shorts and welcome to the news, that program where we swiftly kick you in the dick digitally, vocally, visually, any which way but in reality. My name's Ray Stone. Today is June 3rd, 2025, and this is the news. And how do I get my news? Well, I look on the internet for it. And I've got to tell you, if we all just looked on the internet for our news, wow, the world would just be a better place. And if that sounds like sarcasm, it is. Because the internet just, man, it really wants you to think the worst of humanity. I was having a thought the other day that, as we move forward into the future of technology, and I'm done calling it AI, by the way, I'm done. But as we move forward into the future of technology, we tend to spend a ton of time looking at screens. And it hit me that, I have a little joke where if my dog, what would it look like from my dog's point of view as I come home and I sit on the couch and I open my phone? It would just look to the dog like I'm just looking at my hand. And my dog would just be like, what is in his hand? Shouldn't we go outside? And so right up top, my first announcement on the news is go outside. Just do it. Just go outside and touch the ground with your hand. And just remind yourself that's where you came from. You just came from the dirt. You were in the earth at some point. You were in the earth or the ether or the ball sack or wherever you were, but it wasn't in the internet. And it just makes me think like how much time and energy we spend. I saw an article over the weekend about the number of new nuclear facilities, nuclear power facilities that we will need to create in order to keep up with the demand of, quote, AI, end quote. And I'm done calling it AI. It's just software, guys. It really is just software. And the number of new nuclear facilities is 37 that we will need to create in the next 5 years just to keep up with the demand of the energy, the electricity, the electrical demand, the energy demand that AI companies, software companies will require in order to keep up with what their new software is going to be capable of. Now, just as a little side note, I think it takes to generate enough power, 2 nuclear facilities. A nuclear facility makes about a gigawatt of power. A wind turbine makes about a megawatt of power. There are 1,000 megawatts in a gigawatt, and then there are 1,000 gigawatts in a trillawatt. But that's neither here nor there. What we need is about 2 gigawatts of power to run Phoenix. So Phoenix metropolitan area has roughly 5 million people. So you get, somewhere in the neighborhood of, you can run power for about 2 million people. So a little over 2 gigawatts of power for Phoenix, but 2 million people per gigawatt. And we have to put in 37 new gigawatts of power to keep up with the new demand for AI. And that made me think something kind of mind-blowing. We are putting more effort and energy into building sustainable energy for our software than we are for ourselves. And it makes me think of the Rogan idea that we are just the meat sack responsible for creating the new intelligence, which is the computer intelligence. And that just makes me want to take my eyes off of everything having to do with screens, because every second you spend looking at screens, this tying back to what must my dog think, every second you spend looking at a screen and diving into the internet, and so many of us do it if you work in tech, you spend over 8 hours a day building a false sense of reality. You're looking inside of these lights that are showing you something, but you think it's real, and we all do it. We all think it's real. When I look at TikTok, man, do I come out of that feeling depressed. So I've deleted TikTok from my phone. I'm no longer looking at it, which is dangerous because I was getting some news from it. But, we'll see how long this program lasts because I don't think I can look at this news for very long either. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into it. Actually, it's all here and there. From Reuters up top, Russia sets out punitive terms at peace talks with Ukraine. This was on the heels of the Ukrainian strikes over the weekend. The Ukrainians launched an offensive called Operation Spiderweb. And this operation bombed out 41 bombers, which I think is amazing. If you haven't been paying attention, Germany finally released its controls, its restrictions over the range of what distance Ukrainian bombers can attack or Ukrainian missiles can attack to join the U.S. and EU in lifting those restrictions. And over the weekend, this actually wasn't. What's funny is they attacked deep and didn't need to use the long-range missiles. Instead, they snuck a bunch of drones in and took down like 40 Russian bombers. And this was the day before. This is Sunday, and yesterday, Monday, Ukraine and Russia were set to sit down and talk about peace again, which they did. But this time, it was with a little bit of egg on Russia's face. And once again, Russia is calling for, essentially, they're saying, yeah, we want sustainable peace talks, but that means Ukraine has to shrink its army down and accept huge losses in terms of like land grab. So moving on, CNN, Ukraine strikes a bridge connecting Russia to Crimea with underwater explosives. Now, this is, did I say Ukraine strikes bridge? Yeah, did I say Russia? I'm trying not to misspeak. I misspeak a lot on this as I'm trying to get through it. Well, here you have Ukrainian strike on a bridge under that connects Crimea. And if you remember, in 2014, so just over 10 years ago, Russia annexation of Crimea takes place. Now, what was interesting is as I wrote this, as I typed Russia annexation of, I had to type the entire word Crimea before Google would give me the result. So what does that tell me? This is the game where we look behind what the internet's trying to show you. For some reason, Google doesn't want you remembering that Russia has been slowly taking over land in Ukraine and not giving it back. So what would that say? Why does Google not want me thinking about Russia taking over land? And I think it's because Google's playing along with whatever the big powers are of the land grab stuff because they're a gigantic entity and they probably have something they want. The big word, the buzzword has been audacious. The attack of Crimea on Russia, the 41 bombers attack, has been called audacious. That's the new buzzword in the news, an audacious attack. Now, when someone is acting in an audacious manner, it is always connected with a non-positive, what do they call that? When it's not a positive thing, it's I can't remember the word, but basically audacious is something that you're not supposed to be at least in American culture. If you're audacious, you're a douche. And so I looked up audacious, showing a willingness to take surprisingly bold risks. Now there they've used it correctly. And then showing an impudent lack of respect. That's the other part. That's the part. And yes, I mean, you could use it and it's correctly used, but from a thinking standpoint, what they're trying to get you to do is they're trying to get you to think negatively of Ukraine as if they were the ones striking out audaciously against Russia, when it's clearly the Russians that have been audacious in their attack on the Ukraine. Okay, so moving on, we got Israel and Gaza. Doctor describes the total carnage as 27 reported killed and 100 more injured in an attack at a Gaza aid center. Now, this has been the latest. Now, this is truly audacious. Okay, this is Israel is attacking Palestinians as they seek aid. You know, if that's not a war crime, I don't know what is. And guess who's buddies with Israel? Well, that'd be us, folks. So there's one kick in the dick. Fuck! All right, moving on. The Guardian. Now, The Guardian has lost all credibility in my mind. They just report as they want to. This headline says, suspect in Boulder flamethrower attack told Colorado police he targeted Zionist group. It wasn't a flamethrower. When you think of a flamethrower, don't you think of a guy with a flame-throwing weapon? That's what I think of. But the man suspected of throwing Molotov cocktails in an act of terrorism during pro-Israel demonstration in Boulder, Colorado, injuring 12 people, has been charged with a federal hate crime and state charges, including 16 counts of attempted first-degree murder, according to court documents. Now, all I want to say is, here's the problem. See this guy's face? The problem, he was born that way. If you look like that, you're going to be a bad guy. God, he just has taken a beating in life. And this is an old photo. Let's see here. Moving into MSNBC. Oh, I loved this headline. The end of Elon Musk's Washington tenure should be the beginning of his reckoning. And it's just one of these old guys. It's one of these old guys. And MSNBC, I'm sure, is owned by oil and big whatever. And the game that Elon was playing in government was try to find the fuckfaces responsible for ruining our entire economy. We collect the most taxes. You guys got to think about this. We collect the most taxes of any single country, and yet we have a deficit. Warren Buffett said it best. Get rid of the people in Congress and you will fix the fucking deficit. Moving on, Washington Post. I just wanted to start including the Washington Post because it's considered to be a tabloid, and I wanted to see some stuff from the Diddy case. LA hotel security worker testifies about video of Sean Combs beating Cassie Ventura. Why is this news? Why is this news? Just send him to jail. This is what happens when you have too much money and fame. You think you can get away with whatever the fuck you want. And sometimes it shows up on video that you're a fucking abuser, a spouse abuser. You beat women? Somebody should beat the shit out of this guy and take all of his fucking stuff and his freedom. I just love that he's got gray hair now. Go fuck yourself, Diddy Combs. Politico. Oh, this was fun. Dutch government collapses after Geert Wilders' far-right party quits. It says here, the prime minister will carry on after a caretaker role after asylum dispute topples coalition in the Netherlands. Now, this was an article basically saying that what the new Dutch far-right party wanted to do was make it, basically had a 10-point plan to change their asylum-seeking status, and government said no. So if you're a ruling body and the government says no and you say, I quit, fuck, this is the face of a guy who, when he's losing at a video game or ping pong, he walks away from the table instead of fighting the fight that you signed up to fight. You know what? If you're a political leader and you don't at least stick to it and fight just because the going gets tough, you can go fuck yourself too. This is the face of a fucking loser right there. Tell us how you really feel. AI startups revolutionize coding industry, leading to high-risk valuations. Not high risk, sky-high valuations. Whew! Boy, I've got to learn how to read. I just put this in here because I wanted to remind myself, AI, let's stop calling it that. Whenever we give AI, we award agency. My favorite new fucking word to hate on. Go fuck yourself. It's just software. Let's not forget it's software. whatever awards we give it for being able to come up with stuff fast, you know what? It's no different than the calculator. Calculators can do math way faster than any human mind can do math. And guess what? Software, when you give it enough computing power, can come up with computing programs way faster than human coders can do it. Congratulations, AI. Congratulations. I'm going to cover my face as I clap for that one. AI, you're nothing more than software. You're not going to take over. I'm not worried about you taking over. It's just crazy that we spend all this time doing it. It's not taking over. We're choosing to look at it. We started doing it with TV. We continued doing it. Actually, we started doing it with radio. Then we continued doing it with TV. Now we're doing it with our phones. I mean, let me back up. There was a computer in there in the meantime, but very quickly our phones became the computers in our pockets. Okay, last but not least, deep sea mining. Now, when I Google deep sea mining, not only does it not autofill it, but it also doesn't give me. Last week, when I Googled deep sea mining, it showed me news reports with up-to-date things on deep sea mining. Now look what it shows. An AI overview. Things we need to know. And you have to click news, and then you see some news. One of them being at the center of the Pacific, French Polynesia takes a stand against deep sea mining. And saying, what he said was, his people have learned from experience that their lives depend on the health of the oceans around them. I just want to say congratulations. Thank you very much for saying that. President Moitai Brotherson. Oh, Moitai Brotherson? How do you say that? Moitai? And let's see why President Trump's EO on deep sea mining is a strategic imperative. No. Real clear energy? No. I'm not reading that. It is not a clear imperative. And then I went to DuckDuckGo just to see what DuckDuckGo might bring up for us, since it's supposed to be one of those sites that you can trust to be nonpartisan. And well, DuckDuckGo clearly is owned by, I think, Google now, because it looks exactly the same as what Google looks like. All right, well, that's it, guys, for today. No good news. Actually, I guess we could look up good news. Let's see what's in the Good News Network. Man climbs Everest to install defibrillator. 3 weeks later, it saves a young life. Wow. Somebody had the brilliant idea to put an anti-defibrillation device on Everest, and it worked immediately. Okay, GoFundMe for teen who rushed to work instead of partying after graduation skyrockets to $180,000. All right, well, that's cool. The first at-home cervical cancer screening device was approved by the FDA, set to roll out later this year. That's probably good. Pumping water into sea ice could halt its loss in the Arctic. Nonprofit proves naive idea plausible. Well, that's kind of brilliant. If you pump fresh water into the crevasses in ice and they freeze, you can you can preserve the ice, thereby perverting the natural order of things also, I think. Okay, moving on. California developer builds first neighborhood where all homes are resistant to wildfires. Yeah, we should be building our homes. I'm doing a little building project right here, and I am only thinking about ways to make my house less flammable. I mean, if you live in a house and it's made of sticks, it's flammable. So you ought to at least wrap it in something that's not flammable, which is why stucco is good, but even stucco is not impervious. And let's see here. Electric ferry boat makes historic first crossing from Europe to Africa. Woo! Cutting energy use by 80%. Oh my gosh, by making it a hydrofoil. Oh, I love this thing. Electric ferry boat. That's not a ferry boat. First of all, guys, that's not a ferry boat. That's a small boat. That's a little 22 footer. But I do love the fact that it is a hydrofoil and that it's electric. 24 nautical miles in just over 1 hour at a speed of conventional fast ferries. No, it's not a ferry boat. It's a tiny little boat. All right, well, that's it. So pull your shorts back down to their normal levels. Consider yourselves kicked in the dick. This has been the news. My name's Ray, and we'll see you on Thursday. Bye.